Turning to a major development at the intersection of politics and sports. Major League Baseball, they're out, pulling the All-Star game completely out of Atlanta in a formal protest to this controversial Georgia voter restriction law that just passed. The decision coming after the president said he supports this kind of move.
I would strongly support them doing that. This is Jim Crow on steroids, what they're doing in Georgia and 40 other states.
The league says it's acting to support voting rights for all Americans and oppose unfair restrictions at the ballot box. The bombshell comes after years of course, increasing activism after tensions within the sports world, from Colin Kaepernick taking the knee to LeBron James and others really pushing their own teams and their own industries to take sides, to not be neutral when it comes to saying things like Black Lives Matter or human rights are equal or police murder is wrong. Now we have, as promised, the right guests to get into all of this, the sports, the civil rights, and the history. NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is known as one of the greatest athletes of all time. He has won every individual and team award. While off the court, he's been a social and political activist for many decades. He was given the Medal of Freedom by none other than President Obama. He's the chairman of his very own Skyhook Foundation. And we are also joined by the Pulitzer Prize-winning presidential historian Jon Meacham. He wrote a best-selling biography of George H.W. Bush and has advised the current president, Joe Biden, on some historical matters and major speeches. I think it is safe to say that while I don't know everything my viewers know, I know that most of these viewers know both of you. Thanks for being here, both of you.
Nice to be here, Ari.
I have a feeling a few
Kareem,
more people may know Kareem.
Well, you know, Kareem stands a little taller than you, John, but I only mean that literally. Kareem, what does it mean? What does it mean for Major League Baseball to take a stand like this right now?
I think it's very significant, Ari, because it shows that this means something to everybody. This is something that we all want to see end. Voter suppression is not what democracy is about. We all want to see it end. And by Major League Baseball making a statement like that, they've shown that they are concerned and that the people that so many of their players are people of color, they're probably worried about it also.
John?
Well, I think this is a case where one of the most important elements in the republic is doing the right thing. And that's the private sector, sort of a semi-private sector, I guess. It is the national pastime. But this was a decision by one of the elements in a big, complicated, disputatious country that decided that they were going to take a stand against a self-evident wrong. And I think that if we're going to come out of this corrosive, reflexively divisive moment, it's going to be when people of goodwill actually vote, speak, and act with their pocketbooks. And this was clearly within that tradition.
Yeah, I think both of you put it well. And it was really interesting because we've been charting some of these developments, but this is a big, big player coming in to draw that line. And it's not that people want MLB or these teams to take a side on every single issue. You know, how do you reopen a school? Are they going to put out a 10-point plan? But on these fundamental issues of voting rights and human rights, it's striking. Kareem, I wanted to get into something you know a lot about. You've advocated that college athletes should be compensated, that that's more fair. Yes. The Supreme Court taking up a related issue, which is whether student athletes can get payments for things like equipment or even internships. The justices did sound sympathetic. Let's take a quick listen.
The antitrust laws should not be a cover for exploitation of the student athletes.
It just strikes me as odd that the coaches' salaries have ballooned and they're in the amateur ranks, as are the players.
Schools that are naturally competitors have all gotten together in an organization, and they use that power to fix athletic salaries at extremely low levels.
Kareem, there seems to be indications that the entire framework for how some elites in the law are viewing this is changing. Your thoughts?
Well, there's a extreme double standard, Ari. The players, football and basketball make up most of the money that the NCAA gets to play with. And the players get room, board, and tuition, maybe something for books. The coaches make millions of dollars. That's a disparity that, we can't tolerate that. If it's amateur sports, then the coaches should be teachers at the school, and they shouldn't get paid any more than any of the other teachers. If that was going to be an equitable way of dealing with this, but that's not the case. The players are supposed to be amateurs, but the coaches, they make millions of dollars. What's that all about? That's an inequity that needs to be rectified. And until that happens, the players are going to feel exploited. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, I mean, John, it is something a lot of people know about because people love and feel very close to their college athletics programs. There is a concept of legal fictions in jurisprudence, but some of this looks a little more like it's edging towards just legal BS.
Yeah. One of the things we do in this country is, in the words of the preamble of the Constitution, we're seeking a more perfect union. Absolutely parallel with that and intrinsic to it is seeking a more just union. And one of the things we see that I think links these two questions is what's just, what's right. The politics has to be moral, not in a sectarian sense. This is not about a pulpit or an altar, but it is about what Thomas Paine, in the very beginning, talked about common sense. It's about natural law. You look at a situation and something strikes you as right, it strikes you as wrong. What we're supposed to do in this country is create a system, context in which we seek the right. And this is another example where it seems as though we're, at least, however slowly, moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, I think it's going too slow.
Oh, go ahead, Kareem.
I think it's going a little bit too slow because as we move forward, people are starting to see that, they pay a whole lot of other people that work for the university. They pay the student band. They pay a whole lot of people, but they don't pay the athletes. And again, it's just an inequity, as Mr. Meacham so clearly pointed out. It's an inequity that makes no sense. And I think the athletes...
That's a really important word. Inequity is exactly the right word. It's an injustice, it's an inequity, and it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, and then it's all on blast because all the fans and everybody knows about these high-paid coaches. They know about the athletics merchandising. They know about the money these athletes are making that they're not seeing. Kareem, while I have you here, we've been marking on the beat, and this weekend America will mark what is this anniversary, 53 years since Martin Luther King was gunned down and assassinated. We convened different generations of civil rights leaders, which was striking given how BLM has been growing lately, to discuss, this was just last night, where we are headed. Take a look.
In many ways, Donald Trump helped unite us because he was a manicured northern urban version of raw white supremacy, raw racism.
We are delivering a clear mandate to this administration that statements about white supremacy and white nationalism are not enough. It's about making sure that we understand that investing in Black communities is an investment in all of us.
Kareem, I have about a minute left, and I just wanted to get your reflections on Dr. King's legacy, on the other civil rights leaders, and on what, perhaps for often tragic and overdue reasons, has been a really reignited civil rights and BLM movement over the past year.
I think Dr. King's legacy is one of clarity, something that we can all understand and promote because it lifts all of us up. Until we are able to recognize the moral and civil rights of all of us, none of us are going to be able to enjoy those rights because it just goes around and it's like a cycle. Pretty soon one group is singled out, and then another group, and then another group, and pretty soon it will come to your group. So we have to make sure that all groups are protected and all groups are offered the equal protection under the law that our founding fathers thought was the right idea. And I haven't seen another idea come along that beats that one. So we've got to support that and make sure that that is what we believe in and that is what we practice.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.